grab a seat so that you can tune into your body and check in with everything that's going on so far today. Just finding your relatively straight and aligned spine. Let your shoulders relax. Take a really deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. You can close your eyes if you like. And just take this opportunity to really feel into your body, noticing all the parts that feel great, the parts that maybe need a little extra love from you today, all of it. We want to take it all in. And then you can begin to breathe a little slower and a little deeper, so that nice deep Ujjayi breathing. And as you continue that deep breathing, take the opportunity to check in with the speed and quality of your thoughts, with the emotions, with what your energy feels like right now, and also your sense of connection. And then let's bring palms together in front of the heart, and using the information we just gathered, let's set our own personal intentions for practice today. When you're clear, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. Good. We're just going to stay seated to start. I want you to put your hands on your knees. I'm just going to do 3 nice, slow torso circles in each direction. And as you finish out all 3 circles, I want you to just bring the soles of your feet together. Hands right behind your backside. Gently, since we're not really warmed up yet, gently press the knees out to the side and down towards the mat. And all I really want you to do is take note of how this feels and what this might look like. In other words, look down at your legs. How far are they from the mat, or have they just flopped open beautifully? Just notice, because our emphasis today is going to be the inner thighs. So let's go ahead and bring the legs back up. Just transition onto your hands and knees. We'll do a couple of cat-cows just to loosen up the back, because that's always a good idea. And then go ahead on your next exhale, take a child's pose. From your child's pose, scoot forward into Sphinx. Let's just lengthen out a little bit more. And then downward facing dog. And of course, you may pedal the feet or do any little warm-up movements that you need to do just to ease into this first downward facing dog. And then from here, we'll go ahead and walk the feet forward, keeping the knees bent and just hanging in ragdoll, totally relaxing the neck. You can either grab the elbows or just let the arms dangle. And you want to have the knees bent enough that you're kind of draping over them. On your next inhale, come all the way up, reach the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. And I want you to just take a moment and kind of get grounded and rooted. Feel your feet connect downward. Feel the crown of the head connect upward. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And then exhale back down. We're gonna step back with the left foot. I want you to just hold your lunge a moment. Take a breath or two to just kind of let your body adjust to the pose. And then we're really gonna work it for the inner thigh separator that it is. You don't have to separate the feet farther if you don't want to, but make sure that your right knee is vertically stacked over your right heel and that your left leg is far enough back that you don't have your bum up in the air. You can actually let the hips sink. Once you start letting the hips or the pelvis drop down, then you can kind of start to press back through your left heel, up with the back of the left knee. In other words, you're straightening your left leg, but you're still letting the hips drop. The right knee pushes forward while the left hip and heel move back. So you should feel quite a bit of sensation already. Let's go ahead and drop the left knee down. Bring your right hand to the inside of the right knee. Roll to the outside edge of your right foot and gently apply a little bit of pressure. And then let's fully extend the right leg. Say hello to the right hamstring. So you're just getting into the back of that right thigh. Bend your right knee. Bring the arms up and overhead. Pelvis tilts back, rib cage lifts, and you're going to let your hips just move forward. Hands come down to the mat. Move your right knee back to meet your left knee. You can give yourself a little tail wag. If you're doing full-on vinyasas, this is your time to start taking off. The rest of us will go ahead and take another child's pose. And then we're going to scoot forward into Sphinx. And then downward facing dog. Start to really lengthen in your down dog. And then take a big step forward with your left foot. And we're going to do the same thing here in the lunge. We're going to hold it for a little bit and kind of continue to use it to benefit the inner thighs. So making sure that your left lower leg is vertical or perpendicular to the floor. You want to let the hips start to drop down. If your right foot is too close to you, you can't. So you might not need to sneak your right foot back, maybe not. But then you start letting the hips drop down, but you press through your right heel and you push forward with your left knee. And then you start to feel some stuff going on. So we'll hold that for one more breath. And then drop the right knee down. Put your left hand on the inside of the left knee. Roll to the outside edge of the foot and apply some pressure using your left hand. Come up from that and extend your left leg completely. Flex the ankle and toes of the left foot. And then we're going to bend the left knee, bring the arms up and overhead. Allow the pelvis to tilt back slightly as the rib cage lifts. Let the hips move forward until you feel this on the front of your right hip. Bring the hands down, step forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. We're going to turn sideways. Take a moderately wide step out, toes rotating out to the side. So first, we're just going to do a slightly forward-leaning traction. Pardon me. Hands are going to be on the thighs, but you want to be able to press against the inside. So it's really personal preference. I like to have my thumbs on my inner thighs. Some people prefer to have the fingers on the inner thighs. You can do whatever feels good to you, but I want your arms to be locked out straight. Knees are bent. And what we're going to do is start to just let our body lean forward, which presses the knees out farther. Gives you that first little taste of some dedicated inner thigh stretching. One more breath. Come on up, straighten your legs, roll your shoulders back a moment. And then we're going to go ahead and take the heels out. So now you should have a slightly wider stance and your toes are pointing directly forward. You can grab your elbows or just let the arms hang. We're going to hinge at the hips. Try and keep your legs straight if you can. Fold forward. Take a few breaths here. Now, if you need to use a block, by all means, do that to lengthen the hands, or you can bend the knees a little bit. So we're going to bring the hands to the mat. I want you to keep your toes pointing forward and keep your feet flat. You're going to just start to bend your right knee and walk your hands over towards your right foot. As you sink deeper into that right knee bend, you're going to start to feel a left inner thigh stretch. Hold that for another breath. Walk your hands over. And we're going to start bending into the left knee, straightening the right. Keep that right foot flat. You're just trying to get enough bend in the left knee to get your right inner thigh to stretch. And then come back to the center. Bring the heels in again. So you're back in that slightly narrower stance with the toes pointing out. You're going to come up to standing. So we're going to do a standing frog variation. This takes a little bit of strength. It can be a little intense, but I would love for you to do your best. It's very important that you pay attention to your knees. You want them to continue pressing over the toes. So we're just going to be staying perfectly vertical, right? And that's the challenging part. Usually when we start to bend the knees and press them out, our torso wants to lean forward, like that first pose that we did. I want you to try and stay vertical. Only go as far down as you comfortably can. We're going to use the hands to help press the knees out, but your outer hips are going to be very engaged because we're trying to keep the knees pressing out and back so that they're continually tracking over the toes. All right, torso straight up and down. Start to bend the knees. Begin pressing them back. If you get deep enough down that you can put your hands on your inner thighs and help press them out, that's great. Only go as deep as you can. We're here for 3 breaths. And come back up. Rotate the toes in. You can walk your feet in. Give yourself a little standing tail wag. And then come back to the front of the mat with the feet together and the palms together. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway, and then exhale back down. So we're going to step back with the left foot, spin that heel flat, and come on up into Warrior Two. Once you find your grounding here, and be really mindful of keeping that left leg straight. If you feel like you can, scoot your right foot forward a little bit and bend a little deeper. You're going to feel more inner thigh separation. Right knee still presses out towards the little toe. Go ahead and reverse your warrior. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up and over. And then come back up and straighten your right leg. Hopefully you've got that longer stance still. You're going to press your hips to the left. Lengthen the rib cage out to the right. Really be mindful of keeping your legs straight here. And find your triangle pose on the right side. So we want to keep the spine long, but we're also really focusing on that inner thigh stretch, particularly in the right leg. From here, you can just bring your left hand down. Take a moment, lengthen out over your right leg. Step your left foot forward to meet your right foot. I know it's a big step, right? Take a big inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And then exhale, back down. This time we're stepping back with the right foot. We're going to spin the heel flat and come up into our warrior two. So you want to make sure you're properly aligned. And then if you feel like you can, scoot that left foot forward a little bit. And let those hips drop down a little lower. It's a little more challenging. Make sure that right leg is straight. If you do this elongated warrior two, you should start to feel some inner thigh separation because that left outer hip is very engaged as well, right? Let's reverse it. Right hand, right thigh, left arm up and over. And then you're going to come all the way back up, straighten your left leg. Keep that lengthened stance. Kick your hips a little to the right. Left hand comes down somewhere onto the left shin or foot. And we lengthen the left side of the torso, trying to find really nice sensation, particularly in the left inner thigh. So that left leg should be as straight as you can manage. Go ahead and bring your right hand down. Just take a couple of breaths, lengthening out over that left leg. Step your right foot forward to meet your left foot. Inhale, reach the arms up. Then exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're going to turn sideways again. Take a nice wide side step this time, really wide. Toes point directly forward. Maybe wider than you normally go, if you can, within reason. Always honor your hips and your knees, etc. If you can, keep your legs straight, stay wide, and let's fold forward again. Take a couple of breaths. Now let me assure you that we are not going to go into frog on the mat. Hopefully that will keep you from holding back. So if you can, from this position, if you feel like you can, take the feet even wider. And if you cannot, then you're fine. You just stay there. Keep breathing. We're trying to find that stretch point that is semi-exciting, but that we can definitely control and hold, that we have the strength to hold. So you have to find that balance. Those of you that feel like you can take one more little expansion, go for it. This is the last, I promise. Take 2 breaths. And then we're going to bring the feet in a little bit, toes pointing forward. Bend your knees if you need to, and come on back up. So it depends on the width of your stance, depends on your knees, etc. And of course, I always want you to be mindful of your knees. But we're going to play a little bit with Skandasana, which is a side lunge or like a one-legged side squat. We're going to be bending the right knee first. So here's what I want you to do. Rotate the right toes out. It's different for everyone. I kind of point my toes towards the corner of the mat. You might need to go farther or not so far, depending upon your knee. As we start to bend into that right knee, we're going to let the left toes rotate up towards the ceiling, right? So we have a straight left leg and we're on that left heel. Now you can stop here and support your weight on your right thigh. You can keep sinking down and support your weight on the floor. By the way, you want to try and keep that right heel flat if you can. If you have the ability to, you can just bring your palms together in prayer and let the hips sink. Only go as far as you comfortably can. We're here for 3 more breaths. So we're going to come back up, come back to your neutral position. Give yourself a standing tail wag if you need it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And remember, we all have to recognize that we're frequently very different from one side to the other, and that's okay. Wherever we're at in our poses, it's perfect. There's never any need to push too hard or to judge. So the left toes are going to rotate out now, whatever amount you would like to. Now you know where you're going. Slowly, let's bend into the left knee. Keep the left heel flat. Hands can be on the left thigh. This might be it. If you can, I'd like you to rotate your right toes up towards the ceiling. Maybe that's it. Maybe you can go deeper and get your hands to the floor. Maybe you can release and bring your hands into prayer. Whatever is good for you, that's where you stay. And we're going to come on up from that. You can bring the feet in a little bit and come all the way up to standing, reaching your arms up and overhead. And exhaling, palms together in front of the chest. So you should already be feeling inner thigh stretching and outer thigh and hip activation. These muscles on the outside edge of your hips have been working very hard. So when they contract, the inner thigh muscles stretch. So you're actually really beautifully primed to balance in half moon. Yay. A couple of helpful hints. If you don't have a block, and you certainly can use one, but you don't have to. But if you don't have really flexible hamstrings, you could find a piece of furniture to lean on, right? That kind of helps you. You can also stand with your back against a wall if you feel like your balance is precarious, right? So you've got ways to modify this if you need to. But just a reminder, we're going to stand on the right foot first. You want your right hand torso distance from your right foot. So if you're going to be using a piece of furniture, you're standing torso distance away from the furniture. If you're using a block, you can just put it in your right hand. If you're just going straight for the mat, your alignment cue is that your right thumb should line up with the little toe on the right foot. So here we go. As much as possible, you want your right leg straight, but if it bends, that's okay. Right hand comes to the mat. Left leg lifts into the air, and you want to try and really get that left leg up. And then if you feel like you can, you're going to rotate your left hand up towards the ceiling. Maybe even shifting your gaze towards the ceiling. Bring your left foot down, come on back up to standing, and we'll go for the other side. So standing on the left foot, your left thumb would align with your left little toe. If you're using furniture or a block, go for it. We're going to have left hand torso distance from the left foot, the right leg lifts. Ideally, both legs are straight, but if that doesn't happen for you, it's okay. Right hand reaches for the ceiling, and maybe we shift our gaze. And then we're going to bring the right foot back down. And come on back up to standing. Roll your shoulders back. Come back up to the front of the mat. Bring the feet together. Bring the palms together. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. Exhale, back down. Step back onto your hands and knees. Give yourself a little tail wag. Those of you doing vinyasas, you may take a full one. The rest of us are going to gratefully take a child's pose. And then scoot forward into Sphinx. And then downward facing dog. Now, from our down dog, we're going to drop down to the hands and knees, and we're going to come up to kneeling. And I'm actually going to turn and face you so that you can kind of see what we're doing. We're going to do a couple of different poses all combined with a little bit of inner thigh stretch to make them more interesting. I'm actually going to mirror you today. Oh, I know, it's a stupendous occasion. So we'll all be going the same way so it won't be confusing. You're gonna take your right leg out to the right with the leg straight and the foot flat. So right leg is out. Then we're gonna go ahead and just go into locked gate posture. I want you to put your right hand on your right thigh, left arm reaches up, and you're gonna slide that right hand down your right thigh. So you're getting a left side of the torso stretch, but you should also be getting a little bit of an inner thigh stretch. And we're gonna enhance that. We're gonna go ahead and come on up now. And I want you to take your right toes up towards the ceiling. You remember we did that in Skandasana. You may or may not want to slide that foot out a little bit. That's personal preference. I like to, but you don't have to. Then we're going to take the left hand down to the ground, or you can use a block, and reach the right arm up and over. So you'll notice this is kind of like a modified side plank, but you should be feeling a little something in the inner thighs. Now, from here, your right toes that are pointing up at the ceiling, they're going to spin flat again, which was our initial position. You can either come up or you can just walk your hands around to the front so that you feel like you're on all fours, but your right leg is sticking out to the right. And we're going to do that kickstand variation of threading the needle here. So you're just going to take your left arm underneath and take your right hand up towards the ceiling. Go ahead, bring the right hand down, come back up, tuck your right knee underneath you, give yourself a little tail wag. Same thing on the other side. Come on up to kneeling. Take your left foot out to the left. Your leg is straight, your foot is flat, toes are pointing forward. You're gonna put your left hand on your left thigh, reach the right arm up, and then just slide the left hand down the left thigh. So even though in this case, right side of the torso is stretching, you should be getting some inner thigh awakening as well. Then we're going to come up from that and you're going to start bringing your right hand or fingertips down to the mat. Try and get the toes of your left foot to point at the ceiling and maybe slide the foot out. That's preference. You don't have to if you don't want to. And then take your left arm up and overhead. So again, it's almost like a modified side plank. So you're getting torso stretch and inner thigh excitement. One more breath here. Now, while you're here, go ahead and spin the toes of the left foot forward again. So your left foot's totally flat. Again, you can either rise up, which is my preference, or you could just walk your hands around to the front. You're going to come back onto kind of an all fours position, but now you got this left leg kicked out to the left. Your right arm scoops underneath. Just like for normal threading the needle, we take the left hand up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and come on out of that onto hands and knees. Give yourself a nice tail wag. Final vinyasa for the vinyasa folks, and the rest of us will take a final child's pose. If you're in child's pose with me, scoot forward into one more Sphinx. And then downward facing dog. After you've had a couple of breaths to really lengthen out in down dog and press those heels down, you can walk your feet forward and have a seat in Dandasana. Legs extended in front of you. Make sure you're on your sit bones. Just take a moment here with a nice straight spine, checking in with your body, checking in with your breath, thoughts, emotions, energy, all that good stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and take our legs really wide, whatever that is for you, making sure that you're on the sit bones. We're going to be doing a few things here. So first off, it's really important to have toes pointing straight up, and if you can, your ankles flexed. Some of us naturally roll in, some of us naturally roll out. You want your thighs neutral. Toes point up. So I'll just keep mirroring you since I'm on a roll, right? You guys are going to be moving to the right. So you're going to put your left hand in front of you, dead center. Your right hand will be behind you. Lift your chest. You're going to keep that left leg really active. And I want you to lengthen out over your right leg. So in this position, you're probably feeling some right hamstring and calf stretch, but if you're keeping left leg active, you should be feeling inner thigh as well. Take one more breath here. And then we're just going to come up and rotate. Take your left hand behind you, right hand in front, lift the chest, both legs stay very active. Now you're lengthening out over your left leg. Come back up, relax your feet for a moment if you need to, do a couple of ankle circles if you need to, because we're not done. So what I'd like you to do now, starting over by your right foot, we're going to be reaching forward and slowly walking the hands around in an arc towards the left foot. So act as though you're trying to reach out just beyond that right heel. Make sure your feet are flexed and legs are active again. And just small little steps with the hands. You're arcing around to the left, but you're really reaching forward the whole time. You're making this little half circle until you get all the way over towards the heel of your left foot. And then we're going to make the return journey. Reach out, reach forward as you take these little steps with your hands all the way around. Come back to the center. Lift your chest, and now you're just going to go forward. So whatever that looks like for you, you can have your hands behind you, you can have your hands in front of you, you can have your hands on your feet. It's just personal preference. But we're here for a few breaths, so you might want to support yourself in some way. Make sure that your spine is lengthening forward, not rounding, and you want to keep those legs very active. You might also consider really putting a lot of attention at this outer thigh and hip joint. The more contracted you are there, the more released you are on the inner thigh. We still have 2 breaths to go here, you guys. Walk your hands back up. Now, bring the soles of the feet together. Hands right behind you. Let's check in and see how all this work is paying off, if at all, and hopefully it is. I want you to press the knees out to the side and down towards the mat, and notice if there's any difference. Does it feel different? Does it look different? Are your legs a little closer to the mat? Or if your legs were already on the mat, does it feel easier to just let them relax in that direction? Take 2 more breaths here. Good. And then you can just release. So go ahead and extend your right leg. And I'm just going to stick with the mirroring so it doesn't get confusing for you guys. For once, I'm not confused. Who knew? Your right leg extends. Lift up through your chest. Lean out over your right leg. Now, wherever your hands are on the right leg, that's a great place for them to stay. I'd like you to go ahead and just raise that leg up. So it's a variation on heron. You should be getting a right hamstring stretch here. You want your right leg as straight as possible, but then we're going to turn this into an inner thigh opener. So your left hand is going to come down to the ground wherever it feels like it will support you best. And whatever you're hanging on to on that right leg is fine. You're going to take the leg out to the right until you start to feel that inner thigh stretch. Take 2 more breaths. And then it'll feel really nice to counterpose that by bringing the right leg all the way across that left thigh. Get it nice and flat. And we're going to twist to the right. Your right hand will come behind you. You're either hugging the right knee, or you can bring your left arm outside of it. Nice straight spine. You should feel this stretching, that right outer hip and thigh, which should be pretty yummy because it's been working hard so far today. As you unwind, bring the sole of the right foot to meet the sole of the left foot. This time I'm going to let you grab your toes. And you still want to press the knees out and down, but you can start to just kind of take your chest forward over your thighs. Get a slightly different inner thigh stretch. And then come on up from that. You can keep your right knee bent and extend your left leg out. And just lengthen out over that left leg. So just like we did on the other side, wherever your hands are is usually a great place to keep them. Raise the left leg up, lift your chest, try and have that leg straight. So variation on heron pose. But then we're going to turn it into an inner thigh opener. So you're going to take your right hand somewhere on the mat that makes you feel very stable. And take your left leg out to the left to get that nice inner thigh stretch. Now, as we come out of this, we'll take the left leg and bring it across that right thigh. Try and get your left foot totally flat. And then we're twisting to the left. Left hand behind you, either just hugging the knee or bringing the elbow outside if that feels good to you. And now you should really enjoy that left outer hip and thigh stretch. Good. Go ahead and unwind by bringing soles of the feet together again. I want you to slide them way out in front of you this time. Keep the soles of the feet touching. Slide them as far away from you as you can. Clasp your feet or ankles and just kind of start to nestle your rib cage down between the thighs. And then come on up and bring your feet a little closer in. It doesn't have to be a lot. I'd like you to either use the first two fingers and thumb of each hand to grab your big toes, or you could just grab the outside edges of your feet. Either one is fine. Try and have a very straight spine and just get your feet off the floor. So you might want to make sure that you're in position that if you fall over backwards, you don't whack anything because you might roll, and that's okay if you do. Lift your chest. We're going to take right leg out to the right. Try and hang on to your leg. So like even if it doesn't go all the way straight, that's okay. You should still get a nice inner thigh stretch. And by the way, you're still balancing on your tailbone. Bring that right foot back in. Take your left leg out to the left. Bring your left leg back in. Here we go. Lift your chest. Take the legs into a nice wide V. Take 2 breaths. If you roll onto your back, don't worry about it. That is where we are going next. So if you're still in a balanced pose, you can bring your feet down. Go ahead, roll onto your back, hug your knees in and rock side to side. And then from here, we're going to keep the right knee hugged in. We're going to extend the left leg all the way onto the ground. Keep that right knee hugged in. Want you to come into just the right half of your dead bug. So your right hand is going to reach from the inside, find the arch of the right foot, or you can grab your right ankle. Try and get your lower leg vertical. Try and get that right knee outside of the torso, and then just pull straight down. So you might feel a little bit in the inner thigh, but you're also going to feel this in your hamstring, maybe even in the glute. Release, hug the right knee back in. Extend your right leg as straight as you can get it, and that might be up or it might be out towards the foot end of the mat, but make sure your leg is straight. And then grab whatever you can comfortably reach, whether that's your thigh, your calf, or your foot. Keep your right hand on your right leg, which is very straight. You're going to put your left hand on your hip bone, not to let it move. Open your right leg out to the right for 2 breaths. Bring that right knee back in, and we'll just turn it into a gentle spinal twist. Right arm is going to open out to the right. You're going to twist over to the left. And if it's all right with your head and your neck, your gaze would be towards the right. On your next inhale, come on back up. As you exhale, hug your right knee in. Bring your left knee up to meet it, rock side to side. Keep your left knee hugged in and extend your right leg all the way out onto the ground. And then we're going to come to the left half of a dead bug. So move your left knee to the left. Bring your left arm inside to grab the arch of the left foot or the ankle. Try and get your lower leg vertical and pull straight down. So the farther away from your torso your left knee is, the more you're likely to feel this. And even though there is some inner thigh work going on, you're primarily going to feel it in your left hamstring. Hug your left knee in again. And then we're going to extend the left leg straight up or out, depends on your flexibility. Once the leg is as straight as you can get it, grab hold with your hands wherever you can reach, whether it's your thigh, your calf, your foot, doesn't really matter. Make sure your leg is straight. And then you're going to bring your right hand to your right hip. Keep that right hip glued to your mat. Open your left leg to the left for 2 breaths. Bring the left leg back up, hug the knee in, and then just transition it into a twist. You're going to twist over to the right, let your left arm open up to the left, head turns to the left. On your next inhale, come on back up. As you exhale, hug your left knee in, and then you can bring your right knee up to meet it, rock side to side. So we're going to play with a little inner thigh opening, of course, in some version of a supported shoulder stand. Now, if that's a bad idea for you because of neck or shoulder issues, you can put your hips on a block and still do the same leg positions. If that's even not a good idea, then please feel free to do a bridge or a supported bridge, right? Otherwise, do your best to hike your hips into your hands. It doesn't matter if you're vertical or not. Just do your best. Let the legs open into a nice wide V. Then kind of let your hips rotate in a clockwise direction. So you'll wind up like with your right leg over your head and your left leg extending behind you. And then rotate them counterclockwise. Your left leg will be overhead, your right leg will be extended. Bring them back into that wide V in the center. Keep the knees wide. Bring the soles of the feet together. And then you can just bring your knees together and roll on down. Hug the knees in. And other than a little bit of a passive inner thigh stretch at the very end, you're done torturing those inner thighs. So let's give the outer hips a little bit of love because they've been working very hard. Bring your feet wider than the width of your mat. So your feet should be on either side of your mat. Knees are bent. We're going to drop both legs to the left first. And I want you to just go through this series slowly. So feeling right outer hip and thigh. If you're not feeling enough, I want you to actually raise your head and look down and make sure that your right thigh is parallel to the long sides of the mat and that your right knee is at 90 degrees. Now that's only if you're not feeling enough. If you're feeling it, you stay wherever you're at. If you're still not feeling it and you have that alignment, then you can put your left foot on top of your right knee and just relax the left leg and use it for leverage. So you decide what phase of the asana is best for you. Don't overdo. You do not want to feel it in your knees. You should only feel it in your right outer hip and thigh. Two more breaths on this side. So if your left foot is on top of the right knee, take it off. Bring it back outside the mat to the left. Bring both knees up. Drop them over to the right. And just pause for a moment. See how this feels. Adjust any way that you need to. Only if you're not feeling enough should you look down and make sure that your left thigh is parallel to the long sides of the mat and your left knee is at 90 degrees. If you're still not feeling enough, you pick your right foot up and you put it on top of your left knee and just let that right leg relax. And it acts as leverage to give you a little additional stretch. Don't do any of the stuff that doesn't feel good. Remember, you should be feeling this in the left outer hip and thigh. You should not feel it in the back. You should not feel it in the knee. If you're feeling it in the back, chances are you're twisting too much and you want to try and get your left glute back down on the floor. So just take a few more breaths here. And then we're going to go ahead and take the right foot off the left knee if it was there. You want to put it back outside the mat. We're going to keep the feet wide and just prop the knees together for a moment. So your feet are wide, your knees are together. You should be feeling this slightly differently in those outer hips. One more breath here. You can just walk your feet towards each other until you can get the soles of the feet touching. And let your knees just drop open. So this is your last very passive inner thigh stretch. Just relax. There's no need to do anything, no effort here. And then let's go ahead and use this position to lengthen the low back. So the next time you breathe in, just press your lumbar spine into your mat. So you're basically tilting the pelvis back, removing the natural curve of the spine. You're just breathing, letting those muscles lengthen. And then the next time you exhale, relax, let the curve come back to the spine. One more time, inhale, flatten the back. Exhale and release. Begin to extend your legs. It can be with the feet close together or far apart, but I encourage you to experiment today. So if you're one of the people that loves to have your legs far apart in Shavasana, that might feel good. However, you've done a lot of inner thigh work. It might actually feel good to have them closer together. So I want you to just experiment. Legs wide, legs closer. Find your sweet spot and then roll the thighs in and out and let them just relax. Ankles, knees, thighs, hips, totally relaxed. Make sure your glutes are soft, your low back is lengthened, your neck is lengthened. Your shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Your hands are palms up towards the ceiling. Your jaw is relaxed. Your eyes are closed. Your forehead is smooth. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. Give yourself a few breaths to just let everything settle. As your body is relaxing and your breath is becoming quieter, you'll notice your thoughts kind of feel like they're running in the background. And we want that because we're going to engage the mind by giving it 2 syllables to repeat in coordination with the breath. Every time you inhale, I would like for you to think the syllable so. And every time you exhale, I'd like you to think the syllable ha. Breathing in, so. Breathing out, ha. Every inhale, so. Every exhale, ha. Begin to let those 2 syllables just slowly dissipate. Let them go. Don't let anything take their place. So for the next couple of breaths, you're aware of your inhale. You're aware of your exhale. And that's it. And that's enough. And just slowly begin to feel back into your body. Start to deepen the breath. Start to move the fingers and toes. When you're ready, take that deeper inhale. Spread your fingers and toes, and then exhale with a soft sigh and relax them. Even deeper breath in. Stretch through arms and legs. Stretch to your fullest length, and then exhale with a sigh and relax. Bend your knees. Roll to your right side. And then you can just press yourself up into sitting. And so as you come to your comfortable, straight, aligned spine, just take a quick opportunity to check in with how everything is feeling, your body, your breath, your mind, your heart, your energy. So we're going to do a very balancing breath for today's practice, Nadi Shodhana, which is a true alternate nostril breath. You guys know that you should use your right hand for this. Just a reminder, first 2 fingers of the right hand either tuck under the pad of the thumb which allows you to put those two bent knuckles under your nostrils and just kind of rock back and forth to block them. If that's uncomfortable, first two fingers of the right hand rest in the center of the forehead, and you can still rock back and forth. So your right thumb blocks your right nostril, where your pinky finger block the left. Left hand may do whatever you like. All right, so what I'm gonna have us do is samavriti, which means same length, equal length. If you're used to doing very long exhales, you have to go quicker. If you're used to doing shorter inhales, you have to go longer. So we're gonna do 6 seconds. If that's too much for you, you can shorten it. It'll be a 6-second inhale and a 6-second exhale. So you have to make sure you fill your lungs and empty your lungs in that amount of time. So whichever hand position you've chosen, get your hand close to your nose, but let's go ahead and take a breath in through both nostrils. And then exhale through both nostrils. And then you're gonna block the right side. Breathe in through the left. Breathe out through the right. Breathe in right. Breathe out left. Breathe in left. Breathe out right. Breathe in right. Breathe out left. We're going to do one more round. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Let your right hand rest down. Let your breathing return to normal. So just noticing how you feel overall as a result of your physical practice, as a result of your relaxation, as a result of this balancing breath. So the whole practice cumulatively brings us to this point. Just notice how you feel right now in this moment. And slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment in gratitude. Gratitude for however you feel right now in this moment. Gratitude that we are alive right now, right here, at this place, on this planet, during this time in history. Take one more huge inhale through the nose. Big happy sigh. Palms to the forehead, reminding us to stay present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open. Reminding us to be kind, compassionate, and most of all, loving. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.